well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Today I have a towel. So this towel is probably about 4 feet long. Did you guys know if you opened your arms up from fingertip to fingertip, that's how tall you are?
Yeah.
Generally.
Anyway,
it's about 4 feet long, maybe. Okay, so if you're not as flexible as I am, you might need a towel that's longer. You might not. Depends on how long your arms are and how long your legs are. You could also use a stretchy band. That is totally an option. But I'm using the towel just to demonstrate that you can do these stretches with either. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. That looks good, Ginny. Just have the stretchy band available to you. And then that way, if the towel doesn't work, then you can use the stretchy band instead. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with a cat and cow. So go ahead and come to your mat with your cat and cow and go ahead and just start moving. See how it feels for everyone. Make sure I spotlighted myself. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to mute everyone. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're starting with the cat and cow, and your knees are comfortable, distance apart, your hands are underneath your shoulders, and then you're going to go ahead and do your cat and cow. And notice, where is your stiffness? Is it your low back? Is it your upper back? Is it your shoulders? Make sure when you come into your cow position, you're not dumping your belly toward the floor so much that you're creating strain in your low back. If you're doing that, that means that your upper back is probably pretty tight, by the way. Just doing a couple more of these. And then we're going to tuck the toes. So my bottoms of my toes are pressing into the floor. And then I'm going to sit back toward my heels for maybe about 3 seconds. And I'm going to imagine pushing off my toes to come forward. And I'm going to do that maybe 4 or 5 more times, just to loosen up those muscles in the bottom of the feet. A little stretch to that plantar fascia. When you're doing this, see if you can do this without tucking your tail. So you're sitting your tailbone back toward your heels, or your sitting bones back toward your heels. And then also see if you can keep those shoulders down away from the earlobes. On the next one, we're going to come forward a little bit, forward of those wrists, and then just come back over them. So we're just getting a little stretch for the wrist. Press into all 10 fingers. And then we're going to turn the fingertips out, and then we're going to go side to side. Just moving that arm and the shoulder joint in a little bit of a different way, moving those wrists in a little bit of a different way. Just a couple times, and you moderate how much pressure you're putting on these wrists. You can have more weight back in your hips, on your knees, or you can shift more weight forward. And then we're going to turn the palms up. I'm just going to do one at a time. So I have one palm turned up, just getting a little stretch. If you want to make it dynamic, you can kind of move your spine forward and back. Reaching all of those fingers. And then we'll do the same thing with the other hand. Just noticing, is one wrist stiffer than the other? Once again, you're moderating how much stretch you're getting, how much pressure you're getting. And then we're going to go ahead and come on to our back. We're going to start with that towel. I'm going to start with it around my left foot. And my leg's pretty long. This towel is just about long enough for me. So you want to make sure that you're not gripping or straining in any other joints to stretch something else. All right, so my other foot is flat on the floor. And I'm going to start by bending my knee and then pushing my thigh bone away from me. So think about the back of the thigh moving away from you, not moving from the knee. When your leg lengthens all the way, you might feel those muscles in the front of that thigh engaging a little bit. I'm just bending my arms and then straightening them, trying not to let my shoulders get pulled away from the mat. And then I'm going to let my leg tick-tock left and right. Now, if your hips are moving all over the place, hold that towel in one hand and reach that opposite arm out to the side to counterbalance. And we're just thinking about that thigh bone moving in that hip joint. It's rolling to the left and the right. Now, if you can't have that leg at 90-degree angle, that's fine. You can do it here, or you can bend your knee a little bit so that thigh bone is at that 90-degree angle. And I'm pushing up into that towel and pulling down with it at the same time. And then we're going to let that leg glide over to the right across the midline. So my knee is in line with my other knee. And then I'm going to drop my opposite knee across the middle. And I'm going to stay here for a couple breaths, just encouraging this left hip down onto the floor. So I'm just putting my thumb in my hip crease and kind of spinning my hip away from my ribs and pressing it down toward the floor a little bit. We're going to hold it here for one more breath. So this is nice for the IT band. If you're feeling too much pull in your hamstring, bend your knee a little bit. And then we're going to come back to the middle and we're going to reach that opposite arm out to the side and then let that leg go out to the left. So I'm trying to keep my hips still and I'm just trying to get a little stretch in that inner thigh. I let my knee go out to the right a little bit so that I can counterbalance a little more because my leg is pretty long. Just going to hold this for a couple more breaths. And then bend the knee and then bring the leg back in. And then we'll switch to the other leg. We started holding one end of the towel or band in each hand. And then I'm going to bend my knee and then press my leg away. So I really need to make sure I'm thinking about pushing that hamstring away from me and not move from my knee, or then I'm going to feel the tension in my knee. And when you do it this way, then you get that quadricep to lengthen, to engage a little, and that allows the hamstring to lengthen a little more. A little exercise for my arms. And then I'm going to hold it up into the air. I'm going to switch both ends of the towel into my right hand. And then I'm going to reach my left hand out to the side. And I'm going to tick-tock this leg left and right. This hip is more mobile, so it feels harder for me to do this because the leg just kind of wants to fly around. I'm trying to control it a little bit more, keeping my ribs anchored. Couple more times to each side, just juicing up that hip joint, getting some of that synovial fluid or whatever it's called, not synovial fluid. Some kind of special water fluid. There's different types of water. I know that sounds weird, but there are. And then we're going to let that leg go across the middle. Turn your toes out just a smidge and then let that leg go across the middle. Maybe that knee comes in line with the other knee, maybe it doesn't, that's okay. It's more important to keep that right hip down. And then I'm gonna let my left knee go across the middle. So my thigh bones are kind of making a little X. Then I'm pressing up into the strap or towel or band as I'm drawing my thigh bone down into my hip joint, making sure it's plugged in there, making sure my hip is anchored. I'm going to hold it here for a couple breaths. Take a big breath in, spread your ribs wide on the mat and breathe out. One more time. Breathe in and then breathe out. And then this time you're going to let that leg go out to the right. Now my wall is in the way, but just let it go out to a comfortable position, letting that inner thigh stretch a little bit, letting that opposite knee go out to the side to counterbalance. Holding it here for a couple breaths. Breathe into your ribs, let them spread wide, and then breathe out. Anchor those bottom ribs down. And then we're going to go ahead and bend the knee and take that towel off. We're going to cross the left ankle over the right knee for figure 4 stretch. So if this already feels like a stretch for you, you can leave your foot on the ground. If it doesn't feel like a stretch for you, you can draw that belly in and up and then bring that right thigh bone toward you until you feel a stretch in this side hip here. Now my stretch is right here because this hamstring is really tight. So it depends on where you're the tightest. Options, holding on to the knee, if you can reach it, holding on to the back of that thigh, or you can take that towel and just kind of loop it through there and use the towel to draw that thigh in. Making sure your ribs are anchored, making sure your hips are evenly weighted on the mat. Then you can play around with this. You can kind of slide that left thigh bone left and right a little bit. Once again, just getting a little bit of a different stretch. Maybe slide it to the right and hold it there. Keep your hips anchored. So then the stretch is in a little bit of a different place. And then we're going to release that, just kind of shake that out a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and switch to the other side. I'm just going to put the towel there to start with. Bring that right ankle over the left knee. And once again, you can leave it here. Sometimes I just like to keep the foot on the floor and take the heel of my hand right in my hip crease and then kind of spin my thigh bone out to the right. So it's my right thigh. So I'm spinning my thigh bone out to the right. It's just kind of like a little rotation in the hip joint. This just feels nice. If you want to lift that other foot off the floor and take that stretch, go ahead and do that. I'm just encouraging that hip flexor to relax a little bit. Keeping your sitting bones reaching toward the end of your mat, keeping your pelvis equally weighted. And then we're going to go ahead and release that. Let's go ahead and rock and roll on over onto your side and come on up to seated. One more lower body stretch, and it's going to be hip stretch again. Okay, so we're going to sit with legs out in front. You can be on a prop, and then you're going to bend your right knee in, rock side to side, find your sitting bones on the mat. So you might need to move that foot farther away to do that. Sit up as tall as you can, and then you're going to take that foot to the other side. Now you might already feel a stretch in this hip here. That's totally fine. Make sure this hip is down on the mat, that it didn't come up. And then we're going to draw that knee in toward the chest as you sit up nice and tall, thinking about getting a stretch through the side hip. Once you draw the knee in, if you want to rotate your rib cage a little bit, that feels good for you, go ahead and do that. I don't choose to do that because I think that my low back doesn't like that. Sitting up as tall as you can. So your compensation here would be sagging. That is your body avoiding that stretch. So sit up as tall as you can. Breathe in. Imagine the breath going all the way down there. Breathe out, relax it. And then we'll do the other side. So once again, you're going to bring that foot in. You're going to rock side to side. Try to find your both sitting bones on the mat. And then you're going to lift that foot up and cross it over. So already I feel a stretch here in this hip. I don't really even need to draw it in, but I will anyway. So I'm going to draw that knee in toward me, getting a little more stretch there. Breathing in and breathing out. Make sure you didn't arch your back here. Breathing in and breathing out. Go ahead and release that and just kind of pedal your legs out. And then we'll do some upper body. Now you can sit on your yoga bolster, you can sit on a yoga block, you can sit on a chair for this. If you're gripping sitting, that's just going to undo all of the great stuff you just did for your hips. So don't try to be a hero here, okay? Sit on something. All right, so we're going to reach that towel up in the air and we're going to side bend left and right. You can just move the arms, you can move the rib cage, whatever feels good for you. Make sure you're not creating strain in your low back. And then we're going to bring it out to the front and we're going to rotate rib cage. Rotating. So as I rotate right, I'm kind of tugging on that towel with my right hand. As I rotate left, I'm tugging on that towel with my left hand. And then I'm going to reach the arms up and then I'm going to reach them down in line with my right knee and round down, looking at my right knee. Think about reaching through that left hand a little bit more to get a stretch through that left side body. And then come on up and we'll do the same thing other side. Reaching down. Now, if you're on a prop, you might not be able to reach the floor. That's okay. Maybe you just reach down towards your knee. Breathing into that side. Breathing out. Anchor that right hip down as you draw your belly in and up. Come on back up to the middle. And then we're going to side bend to one side. Hopefully your towel or strap is long enough. You can really reach that top arm as you press that bottom hand into the floor. Breathe into that top side and breathe out. And then we'll go to the other side. Breathing into that top side. You can turn your head or you can continue to look straight forward, whatever feels better for your neck. Breathe in, breathe out, anchor that hip down. One more time, breathe in, and then come back up. One more thing, we're gonna do a little neck stretch. So you're gonna take that strap right near the base of your skull. So mine is right here. And then hold on to it a little closer with your elbows out in front. Now imagine pressing the back of your skull into that strap or band or yoga strap or towel. And then we're going to just round the spine forward. Continue to press the back of the head into that prop. And then come back up. One more time. So you're moving the whole spine. Imagine a really long arc and come back up. Then we're going to bring that towel a little higher on the back of the head. Bring the arms out in front. Just press the head into the towel and the towel into the head gently. Think about, and then nod your chin toward your chest. Think about a little decompression in the back of that neck. You might even feel the stretch into your upper back. And then release it. Notice how small the movement is. Just a little nod, thinking about lifting the back of the skull away from the back of the neck. One more time, nice and gentle. So my chin is going down and in and up at the same time. And then come on back. Release that. Go ahead and shake out your shoulders. Maybe do a couple Michael Phelps here. And then we're going to come onto all fours. And we're going to do that cat and cow again. And notice after you release the hips and the neck, and stretch those obliques a little bit. Can your spine move a little more freely? Are you feeling less strain? And then one last time, we're going to tuck those toes, sit back toward the heels, and take a nice rounded child's pose. Think about breathing into the back of your pelvis. And then breathe out. Draw your belly in and up away from your thighs. Breathe in. Breathe out. So if you're really stiff down here in the low back sacrum area, you'll feel a nice stretch here. And it doesn't have to be that round. Just really focus your breath right down here. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now I know the breath doesn't go down there, but if you let your breathing diaphragm move enough, then the internal organs will help get that stretch. Because they're pressing down, downward. But mostly you're controlling it by allowing this area to stretch instead of keeping it gripping. And then come on up. Just curious, go ahead and do that cat and cow again. See if the cat and cow feels a little nicer that you did that little low back sacrum release. And that is our stretch sequence for today. I hope you enjoyed it.